What a beautiful day. Would you agree, Subtank? Come here, you beautiful bastard. I love you.
Welcome to Life of Loot. Gotta thank JonTron for that inspirational opening. So if y'all are new here, I sit here and I vape and I talk about whatever I want to talk about, and today we're going to be talking about the Subtank Mini by Kanger. So a quick rundown of the specs. This is a stainless steel atomizer with a 4.5 milliliter tank. Uses organic cotton coils. There's 2 stock coils and 2 rebuildable coils. Yes, this thing can be rebuilt. It's a tank atomizer that can be rebuilt. That's a pretty unique feature. 4 different air hole settings, and I gotta say they're absolutely amazing. In the box you're gonna get some spare O-rings, a little blue screwdriver, an extra coil, some Japanese organic cotton, spare Pyrex tank in case the original breaks on you, and 2 pre-made coils, one at 0.5 ohms and one at 1.2 ohms. So for those of you who don't like sub-ohm vaping, you have that option to go above the sub-ohm level. So quick thoughts on this thing. I think it's an amazing little device. It's a great starter device for anybody looking to start vaping, or if you're an experienced vapor, you can use this thing and not feel like you're going back to the kiddie pool. I've been vaping this thing on 18.5 watts, 20 watts, 25 watts, 30 watts, and I've never seen more consistent vapor production in my life. She's a chuckin'. So right now what I'm going to do, and we're going to dive in real close, we're going to take this thing apart and see what makes it tick, as well as take a look at what's inside the box. Alright guys, so this is the box the Subtank Mini comes in. Very stylistic choice, if you ask me. Looks really cool, and the way you open it is just fucking wicked cool. So I put a piece of tape here to make this thing coming out easier. So you pull this thing up, the Subtank would sit inside of there. Good little fit. Inside of here we have the rebuildable coil, which actually I pulled out, and the 1.2 ohm coil, as well as your Pyrex glass. This is the spare tank in case you break your first one. Don't break your first one though. This is the rebuildable coil. Let me take it apart for you real quick. So you can see inside of there, you got a 2-post system with plenty of airflow and ways to wick the juice. I mean, Kanger was really trying to go all out when they made this thing, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. Alright, so the Subtank comes apart fairly easily. Bottom comes off, leaving you access to the tank. And then we've got your pre-made OCC coil here. Now OCC stands for Organic Cotton Coil, for those of you who don't know. That means that all the cotton within this coil is 100% organic, very clean, very healthy to vape on. And this is the stock coil that came in the tank, and it runs at 0.5 ohms, although I see it more at like 0.6. But still, I mean, close enough, and you know, it still vapes really good. So here we have the base. You can see the 510 connection there. It is gold plated, non-adjustable unfortunately, but buttery smooth threads on here. These threads right here were a little squeaky when I first got it, but that sort of resolved itself, and now it doesn't squeak anymore. I will say this about this base. Inside of here is kind of hard to clean where the airflow is, and now I don't know if you can take that part apart. I've tried and with no success, but gunk builds up inside of there, and though you can't really see inside of there, it can get pretty bad. I cleaned it out this morning before I made this video, and I don't know, I was kind of grossed out actually a little bit by how much gunk had built up in there in just a couple of days. Of course, you got your drip tip, wide bore in the top, but it kind of narrows down at the bottom. That's okay, it still works really good, and it's probably the widest bore tip that I have. Looking at the tank now, the tank comes apart in 2 sections. You've got the Pyrex glass, And then you've got the main body. These stainless steel ridges really help with support. You're not putting all the weight onto the glass. This is what's bearing most of the weight from the top and the bottom of the atomizer, depending on, you know, if you're going to be vaping on it like that or like that. And I'm pretty sure that they add a lot of protection to the atomizer as well, so you're less likely to break this glass than, say, the Subtank Nano. Hear that shit? Fucking cars racing in the background? What the fuck? And this is a standard drip tip connection, so all of my drip tips fit inside of here. So you're not limited to the Kanger Subtank one, but I really like this tip. So let's put it all back together real quick. First the Pyrex glass. Stick that on there until it suction cups to that O-ring. Take your base, put this back together. That chimney will fit inside of the coil, and then this just screws down onto the base. Real simple stuff. Then finally just put your drip tip back on there. Alright guys, so let's take a look at the airflow for a second. So it has 3 airflow options plus a closed off option. This is the first airflow option with just one, looks like 2mm hole. We moved over and we get two 2mm holes. And then we got this really wide bore open airflow. This is the one that I hit on the most when I'm trying to vape some clouds or just to get some really good flavor, try to cool off my coil a little bit. This is a really good option, and it's a little overkill. 3 airflows would have probably been fine, but they decided to go this way, and you know what, I'm actually kind of glad that they did. Alright guys, so at this point I am perfectly comfortable with backing out, talking on it, and vaping on it. Look at that vapor production. For a tank atomizer, that is absolutely amazing. Now granted, I'm vaping this thing at 30 watts with the airflow wide open. And, you know, of course you're going to get crazy vapor off of that. But consider this. This juice that I'm vaping on, this is Razzleberry by the e-cig Vapor Juice Store, is a 50-50 blend. 50 PG, 50 VG. And just look at this production. That's from like a 2-second hit. So I suppose the big question is, if something were to happen to this atomizer, it was to break, it was to stop working, I would lose it, whatever, would I go out and buy another one? Absolutely. For $35, this thing is really affordable. Sure, it's going to take a little while to get here, or I could pay a premium at like $45, $50 and pick one up at the local juice store. But it's absolutely worth it. This thing is absolutely amazing. I wish I had some money to pick up some of the other Subtank line tanks, because this thing is amazing. I would love to see how the other ones perform as well. Flavor's great. Vapor's great. Allow me to show you guys the kind of vapor production you can get off this thing from just something like 18.5 watts, which is my normal everyday vape. Thick, dense clouds, absolutely amazing. Let's bump it up to, say, 25 watts. And just as a comparison, I'm going to vape this at what I normally vape my RDAs at, and then pick up one of my RDAs and vape on that and kind of give you a comparison. Actually, you know what? Let's do a side by side. Still an impressive little device, and I absolutely love this thing. Go and check it out. I'll post a link in the description where you can pick one up, as well as Indoor Smoker's video on the Kanger Subtank Mini, as well as Rip Tripper's video on the Kanger Subtank Mini, as well as Twisted 420's video on the Kanger Sub Mini. If you want to know more about the Kanger Subtank Mini, all of that information down below in the crotch box. This has been Life of Loot, and remember, quit smoking and keep on vaping on. Vaping wasn't like a big thing, you know, blue e-cigs were like the big vaping thing. It wasn't like, you know, the RDAs and the clear misers and stuff that we have today.